Hello everyone, this is Fine from Tech Gaming Villa. Today I'm going to talk about the two TV, Samsung Q70T and the Samsung Q70A. Both are QLED TV. Samsung Q70T QLED TV boasts much of feature armory found in Samsung's more expensive QLED 4K screens, but doesn't come with such a punishing price tag. It is a 2020 model Samsung QLED TV. Now it's very cheaper in 2022. The Samsung Q70T QLED TV is the lower to mid model of Samsung's 2020 QLED. Its sublime and naturalistic HD upscaling coupled to a high overall picture level make for a consistently enjoyable viewing experience even when 4K content isn't available. Image presets comprise standard, dynamic, natural, and movie. But if you want to get your hands dirty, you can always explore then the expert settings. When you will find run features like adjustable gamma, the set also supports filmmaker mode, which can be selected in the image mode menu. The Q70T benefits from the same AI smarts employed by other 2020 QLED 4K models, and it's a genuine strength. Samsung hits the proverbial bullseye when it comes to adding naturalistic detail and nuance to sub 4K images. So how does upscaling work here? The processor correlates image content with an on-chip database and intelligently extrapolates fogs, detail, and texture. When watching HD, HDR content, stick with standard and maybe natural for when you want a little more contrast. Studio broadcast, documentaries, cartoons for the former, or more cinematic TV shows. Both dynamic and movie play at the opposite ends of the spectrum, never really satisfying either way. Filmmaker mode effectively turns off all the processing niceties to illuminates. When you dial up the Netflix app on the TV, you will be able to watch Umbrella Academy in regulation 4K HDR. Although, to be fair, it looks very good. Peak HDR highlights were measured at 600 nits. This is lower compared to higher flying QLEDs, but a good result given the class of set. It's certainly bright enough to add a sparkle and depth to HDR content. The panel is edge lit, unlike its QLED superiors, which offer a direct full array with local dimming. For improved contrast, there's dual LED arrangement combining two different color temperature. LED light modules gives better subjective contrast and black level performance. Images have real dynamic snap and a convincing black level. At least when viewed in a room with ambient light, off-axis viewing does suffer from a collapse in color intensity and contrast. And if you watch in fully dark room conditions, deep blacks and letterbox bars tend to gray out. The set's automotion handling image interpolation is top-notch. On autopilot, it does a cracking job of enhancing picture sharpness according to content. If you prefer, the Automotion Plus setting can be manually configured with adjustable blur and judder reduction. Typically, I would set blur reduction at 9 or 10, with judder reduction at 3 or 4. There's also an LED clear motion, but while this succeeds in cleaning up the image, it drops overall brightness significantly. The opening frenetic car chase of Michael Bay action or Six Underground on Netflix is real challenge when it comes to preserving clarity on fast-moving action. But when this Samsung flexes its interpolation muscles, there's no obvious blur. The sparks and explosive effects that accompany it enjoy bright HDR grading, while the sunlight streaming through the gaps in the narrow streets remains totally convincing. The Q70T's ability to present deep color and dynamics is impressive. Straight from the box, the Q70T will be met with murmurs of approval. It offers a high average picture brightness, good color fidelity, and punchy contrast. Standard, dynamic, natural, and movie are your standard picture presets, with standard and natural being most complementary for more content. Natural tends to emphasize contrast, mainly through a bit of black crushing, but the result is undeniably watchable. It's no surprise that native 4K image looks sharper on the Q70T. But what's genuinely surprising is just how good the AI upscaling is for lesser sources. The SERS quantum image processor does a super job interpolating texture and detail, giving a better perception of depth. The Samsung makes good use of AI smarts by comparing content with an on-chip database and intelligently guesstimating how it can be improved. The process works particularly well on less than optimum video streams. While the set lacks full array local dimming, there's still some clever display tech at work. Samsung has opted for two different colors in its LED backlight, which maximizes contrast. This adds some welcome black level punch. Of course, you will still see blooming on high contrast scenes, but it's relatively fleeting. More impressive is the fact that letterbox bars on movies actually look properly dark, at least they do when viewed with some ambient lighting in the room. In a fully dark room, black bars tend to gray out, a still common trait of LCD screens. Overall, HDR performance is in line with its better mid-range rivals. Its HDR brightness at 600 nits. This is less than QLED's positioned upwind, but equal or greater than most similarly priced LED panels. HDR support includes regular HLG and HDR10 Plus, but not Dolby Vision. The lack of Dolby Vision remains a sore point, and it's a difficult omission to justify. Samsung will point to its support of a rival dynamic metadata standard HDR10 Plus. But even with the support of Amazon Prime Video, HDR10 Plus is far from ubiquitous. Q70T is at its best when Samsung can make full use of its quantum dot panel hardware, not just for 4K HDR, but overall average HDR brightness. The set's everyday content appeal is high, with colors that are vibrant in a crowd-pleasing right way. Motion handling is also top-notch, useful for both fast-moving actions sequences as well as general sports coverage. My advice is to leave the motion handling on auto, as it tends to cope well with most content. Of course, if you insist, you can manually adjust blur and judder on the fly. For best results, I suggest setting blur reduction at 9 with judder reduction at 3 or 4, but avoid the LED clear motion option, as it has a detrimental effect on picture brightness. The biggest picture caveat is a notable drop in color fidelity and contrast when viewed off-axis, so take care where you position the set. The set's gaming performance is extremely good, with game motion plus engaged. Input lag is recorded at 19.8 millisecond at 1080p 60 fps. This mode maintains a level of blur and judder reduction. If you want to play hardcore and unfettered game mode with game motion plus of sees latency improve to just 9.1 millisecond, but with fewer processing tricks to make things look nice. On the other hand, if you see the Samsung Q70A, as a QLED TV, the Q70A's color should benefit from more range and volume than regular color filter LCD TVs. It uses a VA panel rather than an IPS one too, which should result in a superior contrast performance. However, using a VA panel means that contrast and color take a hit more quickly when you move away from viewing it straight on, though a low-level version of Samsung's LCD wide viewing angle technology means things are a little better in this respect as expected. The Q70S is still a TV you will want to watch head-on as much as you can though. Impressively for its money, one of the Q70's 4 HDMI ports is HDMI 2.1 specified, meaning that it can handle all the latest cutting-edge video game graphics features. That is to say, variable refresh rates, automatic low latency mode switching, and high frame rates up to 120 Hz with 4K games. The VRR support extends officially to AMD's FreeSync Pro system as well as the standard HDMI VRR tech, and unofficially NVIDIA's G-Sync system appears to work as well. The TV even supports the super wide aspect ratios available with some PC games, as well as being able to pass the latest object-based sound systems via ER technology to one of the best AV receivers or the best soundbars. The Q70's dual LED backlight means that the screen using two different types of LED, one delivering a cool white tone and the other warmer white. The idea being that having these two different white sources to draw on gives the screen much more room for maneuver when it comes to creating more accurate color tones for different types of content. Picture processing comes courtesy of Samsung's latest quantum processor 4K chip, delivering such features as advanced upscaling of sub 4K content. Samsung's motion processing system, dynamic contrast algorithms, high dynamic range, tone mapping controls, and an AI picture feature that constantly optimizes the picture in response to analysis of both the content you are watching and your surroundings. The processor also delivers adaptive AI Sound Plus technology, which again dynamically analyzes both the sound content of what you are watching and the audio characteristics of your environment to always supposedly give you the optimum sound quality. The set supports Samsung Q Symphony feature too, which is where the TV's speakers can work in tandem with compatible Samsung soundbars instead of the soundbar replacing the TV speakers. Samsung didn't follow the trend of offering built-in Dolby Atmos decoding on any of its TV though. The Q70A is a QLED TV, not a Neo QLED TV. This means it doesn't enjoy mini LED's advantages when it comes to more local light control. In fact, it doesn't even use direct LED lighting, where the LEDs sit right behind the screen. Rather, it uses edge LEDs, where the lights are ranged down the sides of the TV screen, an approach that typically delivers reduced contrast versus the direct lighting approach. That's really the major change here to make it more affordable compared to Samsung's higher-end sets. One other limitation of the Q70A is that while its HDR support covers the standard HDR10, HLG, and HDR10 Plus formats, it doesn't extend to Dolby Vision. So you can't take advantage of Dolby Vision gaming from the Xbox Series X or the Dolby Vision masters of films and TV shows found on numerous 4K Blu-rays and video streams. This is true of all Samsung TVs, though they include the higher-end options. Smart features are provided by Samsung's tried and tested Tizen system. This includes a comprehensive selection of video apps. UK users may be disappointed by a lack of Freeview Play support. If you see the Q70A picture quality, its picture quality is how bright they can get for a TV at this price. This radiance holds up even when a bright image just fills the majority of the screen too. There's no sudden drop off in the overall brightness as the brightness takes over more of the screen. The Q70A can also handle intense HDR highlights despite using an edge LED lighting system, which inevitably doesn't provide the sort of local light controls a direct LED TV with local dimming can. To put some numbers on this, I measured a peak brightness output on a white HDR window occupying 10% of a black screen to be a 660 nits. This is achieved in both the TV's dynamic and standard picture presets. It drops to just under 570 nits in the more accurate filmmaker mode and movie mode presets, which deliver a flatter HDR experience. But all these figures are very respectable for a mid-range LCD TV. The sort of brightness the Q70A provides fits handily into its color performance too, helping it hold on to reach natural saturations at much higher brightness levels than most mid-range LCD TVs can. This again is key to delivering a convincing HDR experience, especially given that most HDR sources also build in wider color ranges. Detail levels are high with relatively static native 4K content, and the sharpness holds up reasonably well when there's motion in the frame when using the TV's auto picture clarity setting. Samsung's AI upscaling of sub 4K sources earns its corn too, delivering sharper, cleaner results than most rivals in its class. The Q70A delivers mostly engaging gaming performance. Meanwhile, it handles fairer and 120 Hz refresh rates with strong clarity and consistency, and colors are noticeably richer than you typically see on a 55-inch LCD at this price. It also takes just 9.5 milliseconds to render images when set to its game picture preset, which is as low as it gets in the TV world. While the Q70 ticks some key boxes that help its picture quality stand out from the mid-range crowd, it can't completely escape its price-constrained specifications. So, for instance, where an HDR title carries really intense, aggressively mastered peak highlights, the baseline brightness of the image can take a noticeable hit as the TV seeks to accommodate a sense of the image's extreme light range. This can leave some HDR games in particular feeling a touch dull at times, though the results are still punchier and more well-rounded than the norm for such an affordable LCD TV. It can also prove difficult, predictably enough, for the TV to accommodate simultaneously its penchant for brightness and its edge LED lighting during dark shots. So, for starters, there's obviously gray cloudiness hanging over dark images, especially with HDR content. This is particularly noticeable when you are watching a wide aspect ratio film that generates black bars above and below the picture, or when you are using the movie and filmmaker modes, which deliberately limit the screen's dynamic contrast controls. It's an issue to a lesser extent with the other settings too, though. The screen has a tendency in all picture presets to turn off the backlight completely during fade to blacks. While this certainly yields impressively deep blacks, the obvious brightness jump as the backlight turns off and then back on again can be distracting. You can also sometimes become aware of a delayed adjustment to image light levels during quick cuts from bright to dark image and vice versa if you are not using the filmmaker mode or movie presets. And there was some localized backlight inconsistency or clouding on the right hand side of this test. So I will say shadow detailing is still good in despite the limited black level response, and colors hold up fairly well through the gentle gray wash over dark scenes on this Q70A. So finally, I want to say Q70A offers terrific contrast, rich color, and a dependable toolbox of extra features. Particularly if you are a gamer, its biggest downside is its lack of full array local dimming, something most of its competitors do have. Without such hardware, the picture can look washed out and cloudy, especially during dark scenes. It doesn't support Dolby Vision HDR either, which might be a sticking point for AV enthusiasts. So overall, I want to say if you compare it with Q70T, Q70A lots of features for gamers. That's why for gaming, Q70A has a bit advantage. What do you thinking? Please write in the comments below. If you like this video, please subscribe and press the bell icon for future notifications update. My humble request is to please subscribe. Making video is not an easy task, guys. If you subscribe, then I can inspire more videos like this. Thank you. To change your